The power of words, why silence is the secret weapon of the truly successful. What if the reason you haven't reached your full potential has nothing to do with your talent, your intelligence, or even your hard work? What if the real problem lies in something we all do every day, talking? It might sound strange, even ironic. After all, we live in a world where communication is praised. We're encouraged to share our dreams, speak our truth, and vocalize our goals. But what if, in some cases, talking too much is not empowering you, it's actually sabotaging you? This is the story of a man who learned that lesson the hard way, and how his transformation from talker to doer led him to a life of quiet success. But it's more than just a fable. It's a reflection of how many of us unknowingly give away our power, and how a simple shift in mindset can lead to extraordinary change. Let me take you back to a quiet village, where a man named Vikram lived. Vikram was a farmer. He wasn't born into wealth, nor did he have any major advantages. But what he did have was ambition. Big ambition. He dreamed of turning his small, ordinary farm into the most productive land in the entire village. He envisioned crops so plentiful that they would feed not just his family, but others as well. He wanted to innovate, expand, and inspire. But Vikram had one habit that held him back: he talked too much. Every time he had a new idea, he told everyone about it. Whether it was at the local market, during family dinners, or even while walking past neighbors, Vikram always had something to announce. "Next year, I will grow the best crops," he would say. "Soon, I'll buy more land. I have discovered a secret technique that will change everything." In the beginning, people were inspired. His family encouraged him. His friends cheered him on. Strangers admired his confidence. But over time, something strange began to happen. His ideas, once praised, were suddenly showing up in other people's fields. His competitors used his concepts before he could. Rumors began to spread. Doubt crept in. And slowly, the very words that were meant to uplift him began to betray him. Despite his efforts, Vikram's plans always seemed to fall apart. Every time he tried to move forward, someone had already taken a step ahead using what he had shared. The support he once felt now felt like sabotage. He began to feel frustrated, even hopeless. One evening, Vikram sat near the village temple, lost in thought. His face was heavy with disappointment. A wise sage, Guruji, noticed his distress and approached him. "Why do you look so troubled, my son?" the sage asked gently. Vikram sighed. "I work hard, I plan so much, but success never seems to come. People steal my ideas or tell me I'll fail. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong." Guruji smiled, then leaned closer and said, "Let me tell you a story. Long ago, in another kingdom, there were two merchants, Raj and Dev. Both had the same dream, to build the largest, most successful business in the region. Raj was full of enthusiasm. Every time he had an idea, he announced it to everyone. "I will trade rare spices. I will open the grandest shop. I will become the wealthiest merchant in the land." People admired Raj. But they also took his ideas. His competitors acted faster. Some discouraged him, planting seeds of doubt in his mind. Raj spent more time explaining his future than working on it. His energy went into words, not action. Dev, however, remained silent. He worked behind the scenes. He made deals quietly. He learned, adjusted, and improved. While Raj was busy talking, Dev was busy doing. By the time others noticed, Dev had already built a thriving business. When Raj asked, "How did you succeed while I failed?" Dev answered, "Words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot return. I let my work speak instead." Vikram sat in silence, absorbing every word. For the first time, he realized that he had been draining his own power by sharing too much. His words had created expectations, pressure, and even enemies. He had made himself vulnerable. And worst of all, he had used talking as a substitute for doing. From that moment forward, Vikram made a vow. He would stop speaking and start doing. No more announcements. No more predictions. He would act first, and speak later. And he did exactly that. He bought better seeds quietly. He tested new farming techniques without telling anyone. He worked hard from sunrise to sunset without ever hinting at his progress. Months passed. And then, when the harvest season arrived, something incredible happened. Vikram's farm produced the best crops in the village. The yield was not only impressive, it was historic. People were stunned. The same friends who once doubted him came back with admiration. One asked, "How did you do it?" Vikram smiled and replied, "Speak less. Work more. Let your success do the talking." Years later, Vikram became one of the most respected farmers in the region. Not because he talked about his dreams, but because he brought them to life. Now let's pause here. Because Vikram's transformation is not just a nice story. It's a universal principle that applies to your life, your career, your goals, and your dreams. Psychologists have found that when we talk about our goals, our brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that gives us pleasure from achieving something. In other words, simply saying we will do something gives us a false sense of accomplishment. That false reward makes us less likely to follow through. Think about that. Just talking about success tricks your brain into thinking you've already succeeded. No wonder so many dreams stay unrealized. We talk them to death. There's more. When you speak your goals too early, you open yourself up to doubt, criticism, and resistance. You give others the power to influence your path. Some might discourage you. Others might copy you. And in trying to defend your dream, you lose precious time and energy. Now, this doesn't mean you should never speak. Communication has its place. But what Vikram learned and what many successful people practice is timing and restraint. Speak only when it's time to act. Speak only when your results are ready to be shared. Let's look at the real world. Think of major companies like Apple. They are notoriously silent about their projects until they are ready to launch. This protects their ideas, builds curiosity, and allows them to control the narrative. Or look at athletes. The ones who succeed consistently don't spend their time bragging before a race. They train in silence. They focus on performance. And when the results come, the world takes notice. Even in your own life, you may know someone who always talks about writing a book, starting a business, or getting in shape but never seems to start. Their intentions are real, but their energy is lost in conversation. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine you stop sharing every idea. Imagine you keep your plans to yourself. You act quietly, learn privately, and move strategically. And one day, when people ask, "How did you do it?" you will answer, "I let my work speak for itself." That is the power of silence. It is not emptiness. It is focus. It is not weakness. It is control. In a world that rewards noise, be the one who lets results make the sound. In a world that praises announcements, be the one who delivers outcomes. Let your actions speak louder than any promise. Let your results be your resume. Let your silence be your strength. Speak less. Act more. And let your success be the loudest voice in the room.